Hello everybody, my name is Beata and I'm going to be your painting teacher for today. We're going to paint a model and we'll try to make a portrait. We need to have a couple of brushes. The best will be to have something bigger and something small for the sketch. And also a couple of oil paints. I usually use the basic colors which you can mix. The necessary thing is also some oil which you use for painting. You can get them in art stores. I use the linseed oil. And we should position our model so the light will give us some light sides and some shadows on the other side of the face, so it will be more interesting. And of course we need some comfortable place for the model to sit and comfortable place for yourself. For the canvas we can use inexpensive little canvas like that. We should dissolve our darkest color. I use some dark brown. It will help us to make a fluid drawing of our sitter. We should start from making the general shape of the head. Like we need to know where the head ends, how the hair goes, how long is the face, and we'll try to make the 3/4 of the head view, where the eyes are, where the nose ends, how we establish the size of lips, how far they go on the face. So this is something which you won't see under the paint, but it will give us the drawing necessary to find the likeness and proportions of our sitter. It's nice to think about where the eyes are going to be, on which level. You don't want to go too high, you don't want to go too low. And now we'll see how much the hair will take place. Sometimes the horizontal lines will help us to establish exactly where the eyes are. So when you will find how long the face is and how wide, then above the ears you can make a line which will help you to establish the level where you place the eyes right underneath, and then the line where the nose will be. We can build the nose right there, and we'll continue to the chin. So it will be like your intersection. We see our sitter slightly from the side, so we don't see. We see also the side of the nose. We'll have some angle. Let's cover her eyes so they will be more visible. And then we measure how big is the space under the nose comparing to the length of the nose. So this way we can find where the lips are going to be, how thick are going to be how much space they will take, and also the length of our chin and the line of the jaw. And now we can work on the shadows on the face. We can use some basic color, maybe some warm brown, which will help us to do the under shadow. We can use something darker to establish the shape. We can decide where the shadow will be behind the neck, where will be the darkest spot also on the hair of our model. And we need also to make some sketch of all the lines of the neck. They are very gentle lines, but we'll fill them with color later. And having that, we also need a piece of cloth to clean our brushes in between. We can also take something which we think it's too dark or not in the right spot. All painting is very flexible. You can clean it up, you can add, you can dry it off. And now we can start building the shape of the cheeks and forehead. The skin colors are very pleasant to do. You just use some white, yellow, and red in desired proportions. If you want to do something, I prefer to start from the darker shades and then go to the lightest part. You can always look at the white. The white background is the best to see the color. I use some plastic containers which are nice to close, and you can store your paint for later. And now we can try to find the color of the shadowy part of the face, the high cheeks of our model. The oil will help us to dissolve the paint and be more flexible. So we're using one tone to establish how the face is constructed, where are the darkest spots on the face. There is lots of yellow undertones in the skin. And now we'll try to find some more details, maybe where the eyebrows are, maybe the shape of the eyes, and they look straight at me, so we'll know where they are. Now we can try to find out the lighter parts of the face. For that we'll use more white paint, maybe more yellow, and by mixing the same colors in different amounts, we will achieve different shade, different tone, and also warmer and colder tones. About this we can talk later. We have a mixed light from the right side and from above. And when you put the light next to dark, suddenly you see the shape appearing before your eyes. Under the neck we have this lightness, under the chin we have the lightness of the neck on the left side. And the observation is the key. Don't just think like, oh, she has a light complexion, I can go with the same color everywhere. It's just the light hitting the face in different spot, in different way, and we need to find out all those little and big spaces covered in completely different tone. Surfaces which are close to us, they are actually darker in color than the front of the neck has some shadow underneath. Maybe the inside of the eye corner. Maybe the high cheek right here has this darker line, and the temples, you don't see them well, they are covered by hair. We have the nostrils shadow and under nose. We can also use some cold blue shades to mix with our beige tones. They will help us to establish the different kind of shadow. Don't be afraid to appear too harsh, because everything could be smoothed out in certain places later on. The major thing is to build the shape, the general shape of the face. To start with the big surfaces, and then we'll go to tiny details like eyes, hair, ear. At this point, we done general color construction of the face. We know where the darkness is, where the light is, and the proportion of the face, how long is the nose, how big is the head, where we found the place for each, for eyes, for ears, how long is the neck, how nicely it sits in the décolleté, where we'll put the hair and the general composition. Now we need to figure it out. We need to continue with this and finish the hair and the blouse. Don't worry about the harshness of the drawing. We can figure out the tiny details, the line of the profile, the all shiny elements later on. This is just the basic construction where we'll find the proportion of the face and the general likeness. Maybe the nose is too long, maybe face is too wide. You can also do it just with cleaning up the paint with the cloth or paper, whatever you use. And you can also reapply the paint, something much darker, on the top of it, and find the line of the face. You can outline it with the dark to find the sharper contrast. You can also completely smear part of the painting if you want to change some parts. So this is a very flexible medium. You can change it as much as you need, because it's very important to start in the right way. So the proportion will be well established, and then you can continue not repeating the mistakes you did. It's not really yellow, this will be our major scheme of colors, and now we can add some contrast to it to show, because our hair is usually not just one color, it's multicolor. It depends of the light, it depends of how it shines and where. Sometimes we have highlights like our model, so then it's even more interesting. And you can see brown and green and and blue in it. So don't be afraid to use the colors you don't really think are there, like all the bluish tones, because we don't wear blue hair, but it's not about the color we paint our hair with, it's how the light hits the head, and you can really see the gray, and she has no gray hair yet, and we can really see the bluish tones because we have a cold light, cold shadows here. And the colors doesn't need to be exactly like your model. It's mostly about the relationship between the colors in a you observe. So if something is very dark, you can do it as whatever color you want. It's just a matter of the difference between the dark and the light, cold and warm. Otherwise, we can get this color right, but we'll just make something for now. Maybe something closer to. And now maybe we'll try to make some precise shades on the skin to show how feminine and gentle it is, the smooth surfaces and different kind of shades. Like we have some pinks on the cheeks. The interesting part in oil painting is that you can always smear nicely whatever you did and mix the colors, so the lines are not so harsh. They will be more gentle, and they will have the transition between each other. We build the general shape of the face and the likeness. It's very expressive. Our model face is not really with so much redness in it, like we can smooth it out later. Now we can add very small elements to establish the drawing of the nose and eyes. We have the builded shapes, but we still need to know where the nostrils are and everything. So for that, we can use some smaller brush to make the thin lines and find out the elements which make the lips look more real. The little opening in between, the underlines, maybe the nostrils, they are not as visible as I made them. And the sharp lines around the eyes to figure out the shape of the eye and eyebrows. And the line of the nose, which we see from the side, so we can figure out how straight it is or how arched or round. As you see, some parts of the whites around the eyes are very, very bright, very bluish, but some parts are not really so visible. So eyes are not like we expect them to be. It depends what kind of light you have around them. So, for example, the left eye has the very bright whites. But the other one is much more softer. It's not as bright, it's more bluish, because the light doesn't touch the other eye so much. They are more in the shadow. Yes, you can use the dry brush to merge some parts of the painting to make them softer. So this way you have some parts with the stronger brush strokes, some of them softer. And now it's easier to see the the shape. So some stroke brush disappear under this. You will have soft surface, but you still see the way the brush went, which is very nice to preserve. And now we see that some colors are maybe too strong. We'll try to soften them down, like this redness on the right side. Those lines under the neck, they merge down and they are the shadow on the neck. And it's always nice to make a break and take a quiet look at the model and your painting and compare some parts and think about, what I want to change, what I want to make stronger, what I want to make lighter. And they are very irregular, so try to find the light on the hair, because it goes in different directions. Especially the source of light here, it's not really one. We have daylight mixed with the artificial light. So try to find out where are the lightest part. Where is the and how do they light the face and where to put them. At this point we should refine the shape of smaller spaces, like how the nose is built. And then we don't really see the bones, but we see how the light hits the simple structure, and we need to find out where are the darker parts, where are the lighter shadows of the nose, and how the front part is built. We'll ask our model not to move.
You're remixing.
At this point, when we use them and clean them with the cloth, they are not so dry anymore, but it's nice to keep a couple of the dry ones around, because they will help us to achieve some graphic elements. They will help us to distribute some dry paint, and it will look good maybe on her, maybe on the textile, maybe on something where we want to have the dry brush effect. So this is done like very freely, without too much attention paid to how you mix the colors. It's very fast and sketchy. We can take our painting to wherever we want. It could be very realistic, it could be very finished, but I think that the major point is not to be afraid to paint the face, because it's an object like everything else. It has a complicated shape and the light hits the face in different spots, and it's like a beautiful, complicated vase you paint. So it's not really something we should avoid because it's too complicated. We can do it in the sketchy way, we can simplify some things, and we can still achieve the likeness and character of our sitter, and something we felt about the person we painted, something we search, something we try to put together. And this is the way to master our observation skills and our experience with playing with paint without being too cautious about making mistakes and doing something wrong, because paint is, you can change it, you can improve it. This is something which depends on how much time you're willing to spend with it and how much work you're going to put into it. And it seems like we're repeating the same kind of shapes over and over in different colors, that we change them and look for something which will look right, light or dark enough. We can continue on our painting as long as we want to. At this point, we're going to leave it as a sketch. The final result could be much more refined and realistic, but it's nice to know that it depends on you. You can leave it whenever you want to. My name is Beata, and we can continue the next time.